Good afternoon. I hope you're all doing well. So I was looking at the Lindsay Clancy reading, and at first I didn't want to read the reversals, but I had to read. I was reading the cards both ways. And at some point I was reading some cards that still haven't come out as a card that I was seeing, but it was a different card. But still they had similar meaning. Four of Swords, Four of Pentacles, and then you see all the Four of Wands, right? So all three fours came out in that reading. The Four of Pentacles, the Four of Wands, the Four of Swords, and the Four of Cups. So all these fours came out, and they're all about, well, not one of them. The Four of Wands is a good card. You know, it's thinking about the family, the home, but in the placement that it was put. And if you look at it, there were four fingers holding this individual down, right, from the dragon. I felt like he felt burdened by her emotions. He felt burdened by her not wanting to let go. He felt burdened by money, finances, his own stability, feeling like he was losing his stability. And after I finished that reading, it's funny, I put up all these different quotes about lies, deception, dishonesty. Like I was in that type of energy, right? During that reading, I became in that energy. So I feel that she was hurt emotionally. It triggered her mentally, the things that he was doing. And he was triggered by her lack of stability with her emotions and how she was feeling and how she wanted so badly to keep things the way they were. But he wasn't, he was never, I felt like him becoming Eshu is like, maybe at one point there was some stability because of the Four of Wands, but I feel like he was more about doing his own thing, going his own way. And he met someone who he wanted to move forward with. That's why the Chariot came in. He was moving forward with someone else, right? The Chariot came in with a female first on the ocean, overwhelmed by her emotions. Could have been her. And secondly, as you were looking, was it at the death? No, not the death card. As you were looking at Eshu, the cards that fell on top of him was the Chariot moving on with someone else, and there was one female trying to move forward, right, on one card that looked like the Chariot, but she was overwhelmed by emotions. You see all the water around her, right? So you start to look at this whole Lindsay Clancy situation, and you start to see where she got overwhelmed emotionally because there was nothing was going well with their marriage and the communication and the messages and the arguments and the disagreements, and she's losing her stability, you know, her emotions over it. And he felt burdened by everything, even her own emotional instability that she had, because you could see that she has like the woman in the shell looking back and all that water all over being raised. Water is emotions, and when you see the water being raised into waves, it's because those emotions are overwhelming, right? When I read, sometimes I may not look at the card very quickly, and I may see some other card on top of that, or I may see or may make a mistake, but somehow those cards do end up coming out, which is the weirdest shit. But anyway, all those cards, all those fours, except for the Four of Wands, is about, Four of Wands is about family. Four of Pentacles is about holding back or trying to pull back or wanting to regain their own stability in their own way, right? And that was him. And he wanted to move forward in a different way. He wanted to deal with the issues he had there with them, with his family and his ex-wife, because he wanted to definitely move forward, and he felt some instability there, and he really wanted to overcome that mountain. For him, it was a mountain that he needed to overcome, right? Because you see that with the Four of Pentacles. With the Four of swords, you see 4 birds nitpicking at a man's body, right? So he felt kind of like they were a burden to him, right? And then you see the 4 of Cups is someone looking. The 4 of Cups came out twice, I believe, in this reading. And because you get someone looking at the cups that are no longer working. So she was really hyperly focused in the situation of their relationship, commitment, and their family, okay? Because I saw that. So that reading was very interesting. And most interesting was that the Devil card came out. I don't know what other card came out with the Devil. It wasn't with Eshu, was it? It was with the Burden. I think it was. The 10 of... So he was trying to manipulate things. Or was it with... I don't remember which one it was. But the Devil card came out. The Death card came out. The Devil's all about cycles. Repeated cycles. Obsessions. Addictions. It's about... And we can see where they had their obsessions and addictions. And I could see where he may have... And this is for all, again, entertainment purposes from the reading. But I could see when there is manipulation, obsessions, addictions, and the Death card just means there was, or he needed an ending or wanted an ending in regards to that unit. What it means from there on, you can bring up your own conclusion, but I just felt like the reading was pretty strong, and it did carry some energy with it afterwards, because I did afterwards start putting things about lies, manipulation, about people not being, and I have had people in my life that have been manipulative or have been liars or have been whatever they were at that point. I don't really care, because that's their problem to deal with. I don't keep myself in anyone's life who isn't honest and truthful, who has no transparency. And I don't usually hold on to the grudge. I may hold on for it, I may reminisce to it, but I don't hold on to it, because it's not where I need to be, because I know I'm better than that, right? But in this case, I felt like the energy was, there is still some lingering energy of resentment for what he did, and there's some lingering energy of resentment in his part for having to have so much of an obligation when it came to that unit. So it's a bad place to be. And I didn't want to read reversals, but I did read them anyway. I read them both forward and reverse. If you look and listen, I was reading them both ways. But if the card came out reversed for some reason, I stuck to it that way, even though I would mention both ways. So to me, it was easy to understand the overwhelming emotions she had in regards to the things he was doing. And it's easy to understand how overly overwhelmed he was in regards to her emotions. But at the same time, you need to be transparent. You can't be lying behind the scenes. You can't be doing things out in the dark and then decide that it was okay, because you're going to cause more hurt and pain and even emotional disturbance. That's the truth. And that's why we as adults, when we're dealing with other adults, it's good to be clear and honest. Even if we feel stupid for what we have done, or even if we feel like we don't want to be the ones to blame. But you're not a full-blown mature adult when you can't own up to the lies and deceptions you're causing behind the scenes. It makes you seem like a very unstable individual. But anyway, I was just thinking of the reading and everything I was pulling out, and how I saw some cards being cards that came out afterwards was just odd. But anyhow, that's that. Love and light. Speak to you soon. Bye.